every once in a while I come across a product that just seems to make sense. The Multi Brewer by Varia is them realizing that a pour-over dripper, a moka pot, a French press, a kettle, a tea infuser, and a cold brew maker all share the same approximate form factor. The Multi Brewer is their attempt to bring all of these functionalities into one single product, and they were kind enough to send me one for review, so let's check it out. When you first unpack the unit, you're presented with a wide variety of modules that allow the Multi Brewer to achieve its chameleon-like versatility. One thing that immediately struck me was the number of rubber gaskets used in this product, and Varia seems to recognize this as they provide you with 2 backups for every single one in the box. I'm a big fan of the matte black color scheme they chose for this unit, and the build quality of the metal chassis does not disappoint. The tolerances are good, threads feel nice, and the rubber gasket system used throughout actually provides a pretty nice feel when assembling for a different brew method. The pour-over funnel is made of a rigid plastic, with the base being slightly flexible in order to slot nicely into the opening of the main pitcher. 2 components that I wish were higher quality were the 2 lids that were provided with the unit. The plastic they're made of is quite cheap, which not only doesn't feel premium, but also makes me worry about long-term durability. Let's now go over each of the configurations for the system and test my memorization of how to go through them. So, looking at the unit in its form right here, it is a moka pot. Plain and simple, basic, nothing special, it is a moka pot. When we start to unscrew this, we'll see these other functionalities that they've advertised. So, let's see how much I can remember. If we unscrew this, just like any other moka pot, we can remove these pieces from inside. And now, if we put this back together, we have a kettle. Pretty simple, a moka pot without the innards equals a kettle. Not too revolutionary so far. Okay, now if we remove this boiling base and we screw on the regular base, we can now use this as a pour-over dripper. They actually included some filters in the box that I don't have on the table, but that was a nice addition as well. So this is similar to a V60. It is plastic. I wish it might have been something higher quality, but in all basic forms, this is a V60 pour-over dripper. Now, if we remove the funnel, we can install this, which will turn it into a French press. Nice. If we then take the French press filter and attach this basket, which we can put in very coarse grounds for cold brew or tea leaves to make this a tea infuser, we now have that system. For cold brew, we would leave it as it is. If we wanted a larger tea kettle, we could then take this back off, attach it to the boiling base, and actually have a boiling tea kettle as well. Not too shabby. Those are all the configurations, and they are pretty intuitive to switch in between at will. And over the last few weeks, I tested out each of these configurations, and they all did work well. It's a perfectly good moka pot. It's a perfectly good French press. It's a slightly too tall V60 dripper. You could also just put this onto a cup. But when I first heard of this system, the very first thing that came to mind was that this would be great for hiking, camping, or backpacking. Having an all-in-one system like this is great because it's highly portable and can please any discerning people in your group who might want a V60 over a French press, over a cold brew. Hopefully your friends aren't this snobby, but if they are, this can satisfy them in that way. But as I started using this system at home, I came across a couple key roadblocks that might stop you from using it to its full potential on a hiking or camping trip. The first of those is the actual portability. Now, looking back at that assembly demo, you might have noticed that no configuration had all of these components within one single shell. And that becomes a bit of an issue when we start to consider those slight durability issues of the French press lids and some of the other components that I mentioned. These might be floating around freely in your bag and could get damaged. Understandably, it's a bit unreasonable to want to bring all of these brew methods on a camping trip, but nonetheless, it's an all-in-one system. I would have loved to see it have a configuration that could be all-in-one. My second, slightly more critical gripe is that you can't use this in its French press form without an external standalone kettle. This is the French press, but you cannot boil water in it because it has a plastic base. In order to boil water with the multi-brewer, you need to put it on the boiling base. But then, if you press the French press down, it doesn't reach the bottom of the boiling base, making it an ineffective French press. So just be aware that if you want to use this camping, you can only use it in its moka pot configuration. As a V60 dripper, if you boil the water and then put this over individual cups, in its tea infuser position or its cold brew position. You cannot use it as a French press unless you boil the water separately and then add it to the main container. Overall, the Varia Multi Brewer is a great all-in-one system if you want to fully stock your at-home home brewing system in one foul swoop. Just be aware that there are some small quirks that might potentially be worked out in future versions. But when you start to consider what the price would be to buy all these separate devices, this slick-looking all-in-one system becomes more and more compelling. I'll leave a link down in the description below where you can check it out for yourself. So that was an overview of the Varia multi-brewing system. Now, I'm going to be taking this device on camping trips over the course of the summer. And if you want to follow along with those, follow me on Instagram down at the link over there. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like and even consider subscribing if you want to see some more like this in the near future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.